Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Hyperion Hub, your meeting place for all things Disney. Now your hosts.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Hyperion Hub. I'm John Alois and I'm joined by Sean Degenhart.
Hey John.
And John Redling-Schaefer.
Hello there.
This week, I'm going to kick off our Disney Views, and that's when we take a look at something at the world of Disney. And last week, we talked about Disney Plus and some of the shows that originated on the platform. And this week, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the newer shows that we didn't mention last week. And one of them that I have to talk about is the Disney Gallery, which is a behind-the-scenes show about The Mandalorian. And each episode is about filmmaking, and it is wonderful. Have you guys checked this out?
Yes, it's amazing.
Prop culture. I think Sean was one of the first ones to tell me about this one. And Collector, do you know his last name? Is it Dan Lanigan? I believe. He's a prop collector, and each episode focuses on some Disney property. So the first one was Mary Poppins, then Tron, Nightmare Before Christmas, Pirates of the Caribbean, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, The Chronicles of Narnia, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and the Muppet movie, the original Muppet movie from 1979, I believe. That is a can't miss. Absolute instant classic. I'm getting ready to watch it for the second time, actually. That's great stuff. Some other ones. There's a documentary show about Frozen 2, Into the Unknown. That's good. We watched Be Our Chef. My daughter loves to bake and cook. And then have you guys checked out Zenimation? Have you guys seen any of these?
I started watching one and didn't really finish it.
Okay.
But it was it was a neat concept.
It is a neat concept. And it's all reworked audio from animation, and it's just different clips from Disney animation. They all have their own topics, and one is water, one is cityscapes. Not too much of any dialogue, I don't remember, but it really kind of calms you down at the end of the day. I recommend it. It's a good show. And then they're adding more and more Disneyland shows on there as well. And like Man in Space and shows like that. And those were always my favorites. We got to watch them on YouTube, but they're not always the best quality. The ones on Disney Plus are pristine. So check those out as well. All right, on to our main topic. And recently it was announced that Splash Mountain is going to be rethemed into a Princess and the Frog attraction. And that got us thinking about some of the other attractions that have been rethemed throughout the years. And I was going to start with one. We can talk about each of these and whether we think they are hits or misses. I was going to start with Mission to Mars at the Magic Kingdom became the Extraterrestrial. And I don't know if you guys rode this when it was there back in the 90s and early 2000s. It was scary. It was a completely different type of attraction from Mission to Mars. I mean, that was supposed to feel like you were actually going to Mars. You sit in the round and you look down at a screen and you see, a liftoff from above. And they changed it into actually having an alien beam onto your ship, and you could feel this creature kind of walk around behind you. You can hear it. You could feel almost as his arms would press on your shoulders, and you could almost feel his breath breathing down your neck. It was scary. In fact, it was too scary for many parents for it to be in the Magic Kingdom. I say it was a hit. We loved it. My wife and I loved it. We didn't have kids at the time. And then they changed it over to Stitch's Great Escape, which now holds a lot of those same premises. He comes onto the ship and there's a great animatronic in the middle of the room, but he burps a hot dog in your face. And in my opinion, it's a miss now. Did you guys go on either of those?
We've done Stitch's Great Escape, and once was enough for us.
Yeah, that's how many people feel.
Yeah, I did both, and to this day, I make sure I just stay to the right and figure out if I want to go onto the last floor or just around a Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, it was fun though. For people who enjoy a little bit more than what you're typically going to get in Fantasyland, dark rides or something like that. It was in Tomorrowland, but it was outstanding. We loved it. All right, anybody have one?
Well, I kind of want to switch a little bit from the permanency aspect, and that's a perfect segue to the seasonal overlays and retheming you will see at the parks, whether it be for Halloween, or the very Merry Christmas time events. Those that don't know that, there are actually holiday separate ticket events that Disney has traditionally done. Many won't be happening this year, but we fully anticipate and hope that, again, we will have a not-so-scary Halloween event and a very Merry Christmas time. So in addition to special characters, there are rides that get rethemed. If you get the opportunity to ride on the Jingle Cruise, it's actually a fun overlay for Christmas time on the Jungle Cruise. Haunted Mansion and A Small World out in Anaheim get overlays. Some people get angry about that because they messed with the original. I know the Haunted Mansion folks that worship it are not always so keen on having Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas folks join the ride for certain periods of the year. But I'm a fan. I like the idea that especially those of us that go a lot get a chance to kind of see something a little bit different. It's not a completely different ride, but just to have a fully immersive experience for that particular holiday, not just drinking hot cocoa in Orlando at certain times of the year, but actually doing Christmas rides or Halloween rides and trick-or-treating. Those are the kind of rethemings that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I haven't ridden the Haunted Mansion, the Nightmare Before Christmas version, but it works there because they are a very primarily locally based audience that goes to Disneyland. I think they have over 1 million pass holders that live within 300 miles or something like that, to that effect. So they probably need to change things up a little bit more often out there. Changing it in Walt Disney World, the problem with it is it's out of commission for so long during the changeover, both going into the Halloween and then Christmas season and then coming out of that season as well. And I just don't think that would work for how many people travel there from all different parts of the world.
I was able to do the Haunted Mansion at Christmas time, and I thought it was amazing. I mean, because I've only been to Disneyland twice, and once was in the summer, and the second time happened to be in the fall of that same year. So I got to do both, within months of each other. And I thought it was just wonderful seeing all the Tim Burton creations and how they integrated it into the original ride.
I'm all for, some of the overlays, even at Walt Disney World. I think the Jingle Cruise sounds cool. I haven't done it, but I've seen videos on it. So I'm fine with them changing things here and there. Those are great ideas. Sean?
Kind of playing on the overlay themes is some of the fireworks shows that are different. You've got Holiday Wishes, which for people that loved Wishes, we finally get our wishes back, even though musically really not close at all. I think there's one phrase of wishes, and that's about all you get. But just the different holiday shows and the different parades that you get are just amazing and just really special events. One overlay, or actually a retheming that I've heard of, and I've only heard horrible things about it, is the Enchanted Tiki Room under new management. When Iago and Zazu took over control of the Enchanted Tiki Room. Sounds like it was just awful.
Yeah, the first time that I saw it, the animatronics are really cool, but I'm not the biggest fan of the characters that they selected for that retheming. And you're messing with a classic. And when you mess with a classic that works, you're going to have a lot of people upset with you. And so those classic songs are part of what you want to hear at Walt Disney World. And the Enchanted Tiki Room was one of those songs that we definitely missed. I remember leaving there the first time with my wife saying, oh, man, I don't know what it's going to take. They got to change this back. But yeah,
I read there was actually a fire in the attic of the building that damaged the Iago audio animatronics. So just wondering
I
that
don't
fire
know.
might have happened.
Yeah, exactly.
John, not again.
That wasn't me.
I did a quick lap around the
Yeah,
dicky room.
I found an open door. No, in all honesty, it was. I don't know if that's true. That was the rumor that spread for sure. I think Disney may have made that official. I'm not sure, but I was certainly happy to get the original Enchanted Tiki Room back. That's for sure. Another one that could never come back, unfortunately, is Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. That went in Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World. That became The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Now, did I want to see Mr. Toad's Wild Ride go away, especially since they had 2 tracks where Disneyland only has 1? Absolutely not. Do I think Winnie the Pooh, though, is a hit? I do. I really like it. I've always enjoyed it. My kids have always enjoyed it, especially when they were little. I don't know if Mr. Toad resonated with young kids anymore, but certainly Winnie the Pooh did. And Disney was making a lot of money off that little stuffed bear. And so they felt if there's a way to bring in more people because of a new attraction that people like the characters for, they're going to change it over. So
When did it change over?
I will look that up. John, what were you going to say?
Yeah, well, and one thing I don't want to dwell on the negative, but you do find those that are alarmed or concerned when that went away, or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. But I have to give Disney credit that when they do replace, there's always a hint of the past or an homage. I believe in the Pooh queue line, there is something, and maybe you know the specifics, but the same with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. There are still going to be Nautilus references. That eventually turned into Ariel's Grotto and then became the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but there are still Nautilus references throughout the park. So, when things go away, it's not, maybe it's just lip service to some, that's the way they see it, but I do appreciate that they don't completely forget about it.
So, the 20,000 Leagues, after it closed, it was Ariel's Grotto, and then they actually filled it in, and it was a Winnie the Pooh park. It was like a little play area for kids. And to me, replacing 20,000 Leagues, that's a miss. But what's gone in there now, a combination of Seven Dwarfs and Little Mermaid is there as well. Those are both hits, in my opinion. And yes, they have a cutout or a carving of the Nautilus in the rockwork as you leave Ariel, as you leave Little Mermaid.
Yeah, and in Pooh, there's a scene in Owl's house where there's a picture of Mr. Toad handing Owl like the deed to that property,
to the building.
Which is
correct.
great. Yeah.
And then in Disney, and by the way, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride closed in 1998 in Walt Disney World. It was an original attraction from 1971. In Disneyland, it's in Critter Country, and it used to be the place where the Country Bears were. Max, Buff, and Melvin from the Country Bear Jamboree, the wall mountings are actually still in the attraction for the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
We've hit upon the American parks here, but some of the parks outside the United States are old enough that they've even had their own retheming at times. Disneyland Paris, for example, Space Mountain 2 kind of evolved in today what's known as Hyperspace Mountain. Originally, this ride had a steampunk feel to it that over time, while originally based on a Jules Verne novel, From the Earth to the Moon, there seems to be this piece of intellectual property that has a lot of value in the minds of the Disney world, including you guys, maybe not so much myself, known as Star Wars, but the reincarnation in Paris is now what's called Hyperspace Mountain with a Star Wars theme. And, there are other rides throughout Disney parks that have kind of embraced the intellectual property of a purchase. The Tower of Terror at Disneyland, right? Isn't it Guardians of the Galaxy now? Mm-hmm. So it's not unheard of. So I don't blame them from a marketing standpoint, but maybe we're going to see more of that into the future.
Probably will.
And I think we've talked about this earlier. Our memories and what we hold on to as classic Disney usually involve like the first couple trips that we took. So, how it was when we first went and how it was when our kids first went, obviously different. if they're going to remember it differently, they're going to have the same wonderful, warm, fuzzy feelings, even though we may not like this as much as they did. And so it's just all part of the experience, I think.
Absolutely. And Tower of Terror in Hollywood Studios, in my opinion, was far better than the one at Disney California Adventure. And I love Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout at DCA. It's awesome. And now that Marvel's going to take over that part of the park, it'll all mesh together very well. Do you guys ever remember seeing videos of the flying saucers at Disneyland? These did not.
Oh.
Yeah, they were there for 5 years. Please look this up on YouTube. They were these floating, I don't even know how, they were flying saucers, and they floated on air. They did not work very often. Bob Gurr has talked about it, and it got to the point where,
yes, yeah, okay, I know it, yeah.
Maintenance was just too much for it, and they ended up getting rid of it. It was a great concept. I don't know how much fun they were. They just kind of floated and hovered. It would almost be like, I think they wanted to be like bumper cars, on air, and they just never quite worked. And then years later in Cars Land, they included this original or this attraction in a new way. It was called Luigi's Flying Tires. And I did get to ride that. And again, you could kind of maneuver yourself around, but you never really moved very far. So it wasn't always fun. Luigi's Rollicking Roadsters is now taken over that area, and it's a trackless ride system, and it actually is a lot of fun. So that's a hit for me. One that is a kind of a tough subject for Disneyland fans is the People Mover out in Disneyland. Eventually that went away, and that became rocket rods. And again, a lot of problems. The track was not built for this type of attraction. It was supposed to be a fast attraction, a thrilling attraction. It did not work much of the time, and eventually they had to get rid of it. Definitely a miss. And when you go to Disneyland, you definitely miss the People Mover. And theirs was cool because it didn't have an overhang. They had a roof over each car, and that was really neat. But you were kind of just out in the open, and that's gone away as well. And that's a shame because that really helped some of that kinetic energy of Tomorrowland that's kind of lacking in that part of the park.
And it's kind of ironic, you're talking about Splash Mountain being rethemed. Well, Splash Mountain was in part developed because of the closing of an earlier attraction, the America Sings.
Oh, yes.
Which originally housed in the Carousel of Progress building. Mm-hmm. When that closed, they took all those audio animatronics and built them throughout. It. Yeah, so that was just kind of America's bicentennial celebration I think it was there for a couple years.
And I promise you, some of those animatronics will get used in the next iteration of that attraction as well, especially in Disneyland, just because they love to, like you guys said, pay homage to what was there before.
And I don't know if it's just to appease some of the people that are really upset, but I read that Tony Baxter is back to kind of head up the retheming with Princess and the Frog.
That's
so
great.
that may reassure some people that it might not be as bad as they think.
Yeah, that's really great. If there are any attractions that you missed that have been rethemed, please send them our way. You can do that by emailing us at podcast@thehyperionhub.com. Wherever you're listening to us, we ask you to please subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and tell a friend, of course. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review us. And as always, be kind. Thank you guys for joining me, Sean and John.
Yeah, we'll see ya.
All right.
Take care, guys.
We'll see you next week. Have a great week, everybody.
We're glad you could join us. We'd love to hear from you. You can email or send us a recorded audio message at podcast@thehyperionhub.com. Find us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Hyperion Hub is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or its subsidiaries. We'll meet you next time at the Hyperion Hub.